Hello, Uta here with a little one dill seed. I am scattering those about because I grow dill since it's one of my favorite herbs, as well as the larval food of the eastern tiger swallowtail, the yellow and black ones. I'll just show you what I do. I just broadcast it. Toss it out, and I let it grow in between my garden plants like weeds. And I do get the caterpillars crawling around and eating them. This is a periwinkle, otherwise known as creeping myrtle. It's a non-native invasive species which we use as a landscaping plant. It grows in shade and sun and stays kind of evergreen all winter, but it has escaped out into my woods and kind of all over the place. And I have to suppress it by putting down lots of layers of cardboard and so on top of it. And when you try to weed it out, you find out that it has these fibrous spreading roots, and it's quite a project. But this whole area where I have my dahlias and zinnias and snapdragons, and where I filmed the bees in the crocus today, this whole area was completely infested with the creeping myrtle when I moved here. So this is a constant gardener kind of a project, and I feel that it's working. And not only that, I think I've had my most successful weeding out of hairy bittercress, the little white-flowered tiny weed that if you let it go to seed, it goes pop when you try to weed it out then, and oh my goodness, the seeds are almost invisible. They're so tiny. All right, so that's the nature note of the day. We are in the late evening, and it seems to be pretty quiet. I tried to do this at first with my wire, but I just find it so distracting. So I'm going to hopefully succeed this way. I will use my teacher voice, and we'll check it and make sure that it does have a good enough volume later. Now, I want to talk about another spy into a WPATH meeting. I don't know if the spy was Megan Brock or if she got the information and the quotes from someone else who attended this WPATH meeting, possibly in Canada. This is from the Daily Caller publication. The reporter is Megan Brock, B-R-O-C-K, and that was reposted in the Daily Signal. So Dr. Alex Laungani, Laungani, is a Canadian surgeon with so-called expertise in so-called trans care. And this is, such a misnomer. It's such captured language because the surgeon just comes in and does the surgery. The surgeon is really not concerned about how you feel about it all 10 years later. That patient has signed a bunch of fine print about the possibility that they could become incontinent, or the possibility that their prostate might get nicked, and they might have secretions coming out of places that they shouldn't, this type of thing. And I just want to post this as an additional piece to the WPATH files. Some parts of this I have already put in my WordPress blog, utahagengrasswidow.wordpress.com. Some of the early WPATH files that Michael Schellenberger gave speeches about, I posted here on the channel, Trans Widow Uta Hagen at YouTube. And this is one that I have not yet reported on, and it happens not to be in the WPATH files, because he wasn't writing emails to his colleagues, but rather he was doing a presentation at a WPATH meeting. I believe this might have been in Toronto, Canada, but I am not quite sure the location. I think that we are going to have battalions of spies to get the truth out about what these doctors are saying, the malpractice that they recognize they are engaging in when they do surgeries for sex trait modifications. That is actually mutilation of the breasts or scrotum and testicles and penis, or the labia and the female or the male below the belt genital area. I'm just going to be as matter of fact and clinical as I can. Those parts of your body are related to your urinary tract. Don't mess with the plumbing, is the Uta Hagen advice of the day. So Dr. Alice Laungani, the Canadian, tissue tube surgeon who with so-called expertise in so-called transcare, talked about complications from what he calls vaginoplastic surgery, which I will call the attempts to make a tissue tube that the patient can pretend is a vagina, the patient, of course, being male and not having any idea what it can ever feel like to have a vagina. He might have a manufactured, surgically created tissue tube, which is going to require all sorts of further modifications of, because it seems like it's not working that well. Now, one statistic I came across from Brazil, where they do a lot of these surgeries, is that in 1/3 of these surgeries of men who think that they are changing their body into female, they actually become incontinent. And it is surmised that one of the reasons Brazil has such a high rate of these surgeries is that they have had legal prostitution for decades, and these impoverished boys who are prostituting their bodies then think that if they have that, then they could charge more, I guess. I don't know. Okay, so this guy says a growing number of programs throughout the world of gender affirmation, probably with a lack of training and not proper training, are the cause of these complications. So this doctor is actually openly addressing the complications, the negative problems, the negative emergencies, the bad events that happen after this has been attempted, whereby the penis and possibly other parts of the male genitalia, as well as possibly parts of the colon, as well as possibly things like the skin of a tilapia fish or something, are rolled up and made into a tube that is supposed to function like a vagina, which it can never do, because the vagina is the birth canal, and it has this remarkable, miraculous elasticity. So that can never be recreated by using male tissue and fish tissue. Okay. He says the most dreaded complication is to perforate the rectum while you are dissecting the so-called vaginal cavity. He was speaking at a WPATH meeting. So he says you are essentially dissecting the vaginal cavity, he's calling this the vaginal cavity in a male body, okay? Between the prostate, okay, like why does prostate and vaginal cavity go together in the same sentence, referring to the same patient? Can't make sense. Between the prostate and the rectum, and there's literally no space there. Yes, because it's a male body. Okay. And in this article from the Daily Signal, they make a mistake, if you ask me, identifying WPATH, the World Professional Association of Transgender Health, a medical organization. It is a lobby group and an affinity group. And so this Laungani doctor is promoting trainings and fellowships, which of course could cause a great deal of remuneration to exactly him, because he's supposedly an expert on doing this. Now he says that better care, and any care was better than nothing, he says. It did allow individuals to have access to surgery. And so this is this utter and complete lack of reality, lack of truthfulness, lack of following the Hippocratic Oath, first do no harm. Because this is a lack of admission that there are detransitioners. This is implying that there are no Richie Herons, that there are no Kira Bells, that there are no Chloe Coles, and that there are no Ray Williams. Of course, thank goodness Ray Williams didn't have the surgery. But it's implying that there is no other way. There is no path through mind-body connection. These surgeons imply, but they're not trained in that. Surgeons need to be precise, focused, and unemotional. Therefore, a surgeon is not the person to go to have advice about whether to have sex trait modification surgeries. They, in this case, are simply profiteers. And he says, well, you do great, only what you do often, right? And that's right. When you go, such as I did, to an eye surgeon to have cataract surgery because you're going blind and you have no other choice, then you go to an eye surgeon that does this particular type of cataract surgery every week. That's the kind you want. You want the kind of surgeon that has a record and a record of success. Now, no surgeon who does sex trait modification surgeries has a record of success in what is euphemistically called sex reassignment surgery, because it is, in every case, a failure. You cannot change sex. Those are still male tissues or fish tissues or colon tissues or whatever it is that they're using to manufacture the tissue tube to pretend to be an ersatz vagina. And he says you need to dedicate a huge part of gender-affirming care to this kind of surgery if you're going to do it at all. Oops, is that a mosquito? I think that was a mosquito. Oh my goodness. Time to go inside. Remember to spread the dill seeds and enjoy the beauty of Mother Nature.